9 of 36 policy proposals received the required support from the Colorado Oil and Gas Task Force to be sent to the governor this week. The proposals range from sharing information about local government's land plans to creating a process to mediate disputes between local communities and energy companies. Patty, we've been waiting for these proposals since really the task force was created last year, really just to change the election 2014 and hopefully get something out of it. Some folks say that we have some pretty productive proposals, but still not sure if it's going to stop anything from going to the ballot. From what you saw this week, what do you think?
Well, certainly the biggest success was in keeping it off the ballot in 2014, because now we're seeing that there are people who look like they're going to be pushing for a statewide ban. We have the people complaining about fracking Denver, when in fact the only fracking in Denver is on DIA, and I bet they're taking more than 3 ounces out each time. So we're going to be hearing a lot of things over the next few months, as the legislature only needs to take action on 2 of these, although they could certainly opt to do some others. Some of the compromises that came up look pretty good, but there were so many more things floated than the 9 that the majority were able to agree on. I think it's too bad that we didn't come closer on giving locals at least more voice, local municipalities. If local municipalities can decide not to have pot shops, they can certainly come up with something against fracking in their own community, depending on just how invasive the fracking procedure is. So I think we did actually have a discussion. We need more discussion. And unfortunately, we're going to get more discussion, probably in all the wrong ways.
David, when you look at the 9 proposals, what does it do to the middle ground folks as they perceive fracking? The folks who are anti-fracking until it's banned aren't going to be in favor of any proposals, and the oil and gas companies can be on their side. But for that middle ground of folks looking for kind of the Colorado flavored compromise, how do you think they'll look at these proposals?
Well, favorably, I think, and I think actually the proposals that came out reflect well on Governor Hickenlooper in selecting a diverse commission. And then I believe you needed 2/3 support for the proposals, and that meant you couldn't have just one or the other faction. So these consensus proposals, I think, do make sense. They are good ways to promote earlier community involvement and notice, and at the same time, they are also fair to property owners because they don't allow someone's property rights to be taken away with no compensation. It is true that a city or a county can say whether they're going to have retail marijuana stores, but you can't forbid somebody under our Constitution from growing marijuana on their own land. And likewise, if you're a homeowner and you want fracking to take place on your land, that is your right. And if a government wants to take it away, they ought to pay you how much they're taking, the value they're taking, which is enormous. But of course, that's not even on the table. We have a state law that says the Oil and Gas Commission is supposed to foster the development of the oil and gas extraction in this state. And just like you could say having a good airport fosters economic development and prosperity for the people as a whole, so does the oil and gas industry. So this is a positive, fair, and balanced result from the commission, and kudos to them for their work.
Ben, do you think that the results from the task force will be, I guess, sold or marketed properly by lawmakers? Because you saw some people being supportive of it, but you saw the predictable reaction from activists who are against fracking saying these are terrible. But it seemed that even from Governor Hickenlooper, yeah, these should probably be adopted. Well, he didn't need to have a parade, but it didn't really just seem like a ringing endorsement. Does it need that to win over that middle ground?
You know, I think it does, but I think more to Patty's point, I don't think it resolves the controversy. I think the commission did good work. I know that several of the members, based on their public comments, were disappointed that they couldn't get consensus on some bigger policy issues, but that's the nature of the group if they require 2/3 agreement. So what they really did is sort of created a platform to codify agreement on all of the sort of easy stuff. The real difficult questions are out there, and they couldn't reach resolution on those. And unfortunately, we'll probably have a battleground again with a series of ballot proposals being filed, which I don't think serves us well, because typically that context for dealing with big policy issues isn't always the best place. And the thing that I still find distressing personally is someone who wants to see us reach some sort of statewide compromises. Despite all of the TV commercials that still get run, no one's addressed the core science issue. Is it safe in neighborhoods and in other places? No one has really definitively spoken to that, and until that's spoken to, I think the contentious nature of this debate just continues.
Eli, what was the reaction on Capitol Hill to these 9 proposals and the overall task force in general?
Well, I mean, the governor's office is pretty happy with it. They wanted to make it seem like this wasn't just sort of a, charade that they did to, get out of a sticky situation last year, and that it was actually real and it was going to come up with tangible solutions. I mean, all they did was take the low-hanging fruit. I think at the Capitol, look, nothing's getting through the Capitol. I mean, we've already seen the first month and a half of the legislature. It's just each party, each chamber shooting the other guys hostage every single day. So, I mean, nothing legislatively is getting done on this, at least for 2 years, and I think there's a recognition of that. The governor can act in a regulatory arena with some of this stuff, but again, it's just the low-hanging fruit. I mean, you talk about a policy area I will be disappointed to leave behind and not get to focus on as much. I mean, this isn't peace in the Middle East, but it's close on the state level. There's nothing else that seems like as impossible to resolve as this, and the reason is, you can understand that the environment, the economy, there are different things here, and it seems to be a little bit of a zero-sum game. There's a lot of money on both sides, and the industry is right when it says there are activists out there who want nothing short of a full statewide ban. That's true. Some of them do. They're right when they say they've given a lot and they've taken on new regulations and supported them that cost them a lot of money. And as the market has shifted and the price of oil has dropped, it's a little harder for them to compromise and say, okay, we'll just, here's another couple $100 million of, costs. We'll just eat it. We're not as willing to do that at this point. But the industry also locked down and would not support anything but the most minimal concessions to local control. And so I think, both sides are willing to move, then we could get somewhere. But given the outside interests, that does not seem all that likely.